Attention, everybody. The views and opinions expressed on the show are not necessarily those of Acts Ministry, Acts Media Group, and or their affiliate and subordinate ministries and or nonprofits. So now, here's the man with the plan to put gold in your hand, Tony Hammock.
Well, thank you, Matt. That was a...
And Luke.
Hello.
I'm sorry, I'm going to go, and Luke.
Hello.
Well, why don't you let Luke know the voice you used to introduce Asa?
Well, that's why I was doing a lower voice for Luke, because I do a high-pitched voice. Asa, you know, and you're Luke. I'll do it about that. It's Luke. Get down, Luke. Get down.
The high voice definitely sounds like Asa.
Yes, most definitely.
I would agree with that. Nah.
Well, good morning, everybody. We are in great spirits here in the studio, and it's already kind of been disclosed, but I am tickled today to have a guest, Mr. Luke Hammock, our youngest son. Luke, care to introduce yourself?
Hello. I'm Luke Hammock. I'm 13.
He's 13. And what grade are you getting ready to start?
I'm getting ready to start 7th, but it'll probably be mainly online.
Yeah. Yeah, this COVID-19 thing has changed a lot of things we do and look forward to and all that kind of stuff. But Luke and I have a jam-packed show for you this morning. Hopefully, if you're in Southwest Missouri, you've been outside to enjoy this gorgeous weather. I think it was 71 degrees as we drove over here a few minutes ago. And I think the high today is supposed to be 83. So this is one of those days that, we kind of live for. I mean, I swear, I don't know what it is about living in Missouri and the Four Seasons, but, I woke up this morning and the alarm went off at 6 and it was dark. And I was like, well, that's different. I mean, that's even different from yesterday, I mean, it's dark. And so I got the coffee going and I looked at my phone to kind of catch up on the news, and it was 55 degrees. So I'm thinking, man, this feels like fall. So, and we love fall, by the way. My wife absolutely loves, that's her favorite season and stuff. So, we're excited for the next 90 days with all the different fall festivals and just the weather and the leaves changing and all that kind of stuff. But I'm probably getting ahead of ourselves because it is only August 19th. And
Already August 19th.
I know, can you believe it?
Well, I am leaving. I'm leaving the office now. I just wanted to say goodbye to you guys until next week. I'm leaving
Goodbye.
Troy and Jay in charge.
Oh, okay.
They will be back up here shortly.
That's Matt saying goodbye.
Just want to say, see you all in a little bit. I got to get some sleep.
Bye,
Well, it's good seeing you. Thank you
Bye,
for all.
Luke.
Thank you for all you do.
Well, thank you guys for all you do. We really appreciate you. And thank you, viewers, for viewing this show and making it so popular. God bless.
We've got a power-packed show, I think, and Mr. Asa is now over in Tulsa, starting his sophomore year of college over there. I hope he gets to stay there, mainly because it'll reduce our grocery bill by 50%. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. But for the moment, school is getting started, and they're going to have people in classes and all that kind of stuff, even though I think UNC Chapel Hill on Monday announced they were shutting things down and everybody was going to be online. And Columbia University, back there in New York. I mean, there's just a lot of schools. In fact, I read an article somewhere this morning that only 2.5% of the universities out there are planning on, for the moment, having in-class sessions. And there's another 25% that are, kind of a hybrid, some in class and most online and stuff like that. So we will wait to see what happens and everything. But as we speak, we're here to talk about alternative investments. Gold the spot price on gold right now is $1,985.20, and silver is $27.60. So they've been doing their two-step forward, one-step back thing we talk about all week. At one point yesterday, I think gold was up to like 2010. And I know silver was over 28. So, it's a volatile market, and, we're expecting some better things from that and so forth. Bitcoin, for those of you that like for me to talk about the cryptos, Bitcoin got up over 12,000 on Sunday and Monday, and I looked this morning and it was just a little bit below 12, so it's had a little bit of a pullback itself. But the big news this last week since I saw everybody last is on Friday it came out with his SEC filing that Warren Buffett. Now, if I say the name Warren Buffett, do y'all know who I'm talking about? You know, he is the gentleman up in Omaha that is, you know, he kind of rotates with 2 or 3 others as far as being the most wealthy person in the world. I don't know. I think right now he might be number 3. I haven't really looked at the list. You know, they get past a certain level and it's like, oh my goodness. But anyway, what came out Friday is that Mr. Buffett, with his company Berkshire Hathaway, which has a huge investment portfolio, had basically liquidated their position in Goldman Sachs and pared down their positions in Wells Fargo and Bank of America, and had put those proceeds into gold. That's right. Warren Buffett is into gold. And the reason why it's a big deal is he's never liked gold, the metal. He is truly a gentleman who buys companies. He likes companies because he likes to, you know, evaluate their process, how they make money, their profitability, you know, all these fundamental reasons for buying a stock. And so the company he bought is a company called Barrick, Barrick Gold. The symbol's gold, Gold. And he bought, oh gosh, I don't know, it was a huge amount for people like you and I. Although for his overall portfolio, it's only like 1/4% of what he owns. So it's not a huge position as compared to some of his others, but it's an indicator of 2 things. One is, I think it's an indicator that he doesn't see very many good things on the horizon for banks, big banks. And he also sees that there's you know, some good things getting ready to happen with gold. And you know, usually when he does something, it's not because he's a day trader. It's not like he's going to be out of Barrick tomorrow. I mean, I can't speak for the man, but just from, you know, following him now for 35, 40 years, you know, more than likely he's in there for the long haul. I mean, as far as expectations being that, you know, you're going to see a lot of good stuff happening with gold mining and gold mining companies and, you know, things like that and so forth. But anyway, that was the big news. And, of course, the whole industry was chattering about it over the weekend and, you know, trying to digest and figure out what to do based on, you know, trying to follow his lead and so forth. But, you know, we think that gold should be a part of your portfolio if it isn't already. If it is, you know, stay the course and, you know, add more to your portfolio. Buy gold, buy silver. I mean, with everything that's going on in the economy, it makes a lot of sense. And we'll get more into that here in just a little bit and stuff. But let's turn to Mr. Luke, and let's find out what's going on in the world of 7th grade.
I haven't started yet, but I'm pretty excited for it.
Yeah, we are too. Did you have a good summer?
Pretty good.
Are you missing Asa?
No, not that really.
So I want to tell Asa to watch this on YouTube later today, so he can see your answer.
I'm just joking.
I know. We all miss Asa. In fact, if I had thought about it, you know, our the next oldest above Asa is Jonah, and last night he was telling me today was a day off. If I had thought fast enough, I could have had Jonah and Luke here, which would have been quite a trio, you know, as far as the 3 of us go and so forth. But in the world of technology, what do you think of gaming?
It's pretty fun. There's the only really games that have really popped up in popularity is this one that's found mainly on the computer on Steam, called Fall Guys, which is basically just like a battle royale version of Fortnite. I haven't played it, but I've seen some people play it.
Yeah, Steam. Now that's an account you got as a gift from your brother Jonah for your birthday.
Yeah, I got an account on Steam.
Yeah. So the only reason we're kind of getting into this, it's not gold and silver or anything, but we always like to talk about alternative investments. And, with everybody being pretty much locked in or inside more so than ever, guess where some interesting opportunities are? And it's in the world of gaming. There's a lot of companies that are publicly traded that make these games. There's Nintendo. What do you think of Nintendo?
Nintendo is a pretty good game franchise. They make a lot of good games.
What's your favorite Nintendo game?
It's really hard to say. There are many right now. If you're saying like my favorite Nintendo game of the year so far, then I would probably say the new Paper Mario game.
Paper Mario?
Yeah.
Yeah, we around our house, all four boys have been into Nintendo and gaming and stuff. So we hear the name Mario a lot, and we hear the name Luigi.
Yes.
Yeah. So we get to hear quite a bit about these two characters. Are there any other characters in the Nintendo world?
Lots. They even made like a fighting game about all of them.
Oh my goodness. Well, I don't know if we need much more violence in the world right now, but that is interesting and stuff. I'll watch over their shoulders sometimes, and it's amazing to me that how much games had advanced. When I was a kid, there wasn't really any gaming, but I can remember Pong, and my wife and I were talking about this with Luke the other night. I think, what was that? What's the thing that eats people?
Pac-Man.
Pac-Man, yeah. Pac-Man came along, and there was a few others and stuff. And, some of those early investors in companies like Activision and, Sony, and, even Microsoft has, their gaming platform. Some of those folks have done quite well. And, it's all based on earnings and potential and things like that. I think Microsoft is coming out with the new Xbox, or if they haven't already, I think PlayStation's getting ready to introduce PlayStation 5. Have they already introduced that, or is it?
They've introduced a trailer to it. I don't know if when it's coming out exactly. But I do know it's coming out soon.
Okay. So, it's an exciting world out there, and the one that's really big, our second oldest, Jonah, if I would have remembered that, once I realized he was off today, I could have got him here. But he's really into
VR.
VR. What does that stand for?
Virtual reality.
Virtual reality. And would you like to tell everybody what that's all about?
Well, basically, it's like attaching a computer to your face. And
attaching a computer to your face. And then what happens?
Well, except it's much lighter.
Yeah.
So the whole entire thing with VR, virtual reality, is it's basically kind of like playing a game, except instead of using like a keyboard or like a controller, you're kind of using like these hand grips, and you're kind of using your body to play the game. So like there's many games, and I've only played a few. Like there's one that streams across like many different nations, and that's VR Chat, and that's like one of the like main games on there. There's also a couple other games, like there's Gorn. There's many games on VR nowadays.
Yeah, well, Jonah's very much into the VR, and the few times he's, let me try it. It is absolutely amazing. The one I tried, there was a dinosaur in the forest with me, and it was just really creepy because he kind of turns around and then he starts, putting his nose up, sniffing me, and it's just so light.
I don't think that was an actual game.
Yes, yes. Mr. Luke here, which is known in our family as the one who, a couple of years ago at the dinner table, I was doing one of my stories, and he was much younger than this. But at the end of the story, you know, I know older boys were rolling their eyes and stuff like this. But at the end of the story, Luke very seriously goes, "So, Dad, what kind of dinosaurs were alive when you were born?" And then the other boys were kind of teasing him, you know, and he's like, "No, really, I want to know." So that has kind of gone down in the Hammock family lore as far as one of Luke, a Lukeism. Anyway, there's other ones, but we can share those later and stuff. So anyway, hey, let's do this. Let's jump into the stewardship course, because, you know, if you watch the show week in, week out, you know I kind of like this part of it. And we're going to stay with this one I found. Now, I have no idea. I didn't get a chance to kind of glance at this morning. And the reason why I'm saying this as a disclaimer is remember last week I had just, rather than plug in stewardship, I had plugged in gold. And up popped this one on gold. And, well, I got to looking at it, and it wasn't necessarily about the metal gold. It was more or less about, you know, the human part of it. It was really a neat one, that first one. So let's see what the second one is, and hopefully it's as neat and so. Okay, let me see. It's not the same. Okay, so this one goes, "Our obsession is not the same. One day God spoke to me very clearly and said, 'Nicola, our obsession is not the same. You seek perfection, but I seek hearts. You chase the beautiful, I chase the broken. You pursue excellence, I pursue the lost. You want the best, I desire the most despised.'" This was deeply uncomfortable for me to hear. It's interesting to know how we all seem to be searching for some idealistic form of perfection. We are always looking to upgrade our lives. We have bought into the deception that accumulating things will somehow give us greater credibility, not just with others, but even with ourselves. We think that what we possess and what we achieved will justify our existence and prove our worth. The problem with this approach to life is that its flaws quickly become apparent even to us. We hide our true selves from view, cover up our inadequacies with material possessions and accolades, and desperately hope that people won't look into our lives any deeper than what can be seen on the surface. We fear that if they do, they will realize that we are all a fraud, living a masquerade. They might discover who we really are and uncover our weakness, brokenness, fear, and pain. The antidote to this paradox is to fill our lives with endless busyness. We bury our real selves under a camouflage of good deeds and spirituality, presenting to the world a version of ourselves we believe to be pleasing and acceptable. Sadly, by default, we are giving power to the very thing that is crushing and ultimately destroying us. We quietly die inside through the loneliness and pain of not being truly known. To be known is what we truly crave. Deep down, it's all we long for. Not more accomplishments, not acceptance, not more possession, but to be truly seen, to be accepted and loved. Here, I believe, is the heart of our problem. How we see ourselves is often in opposition to how God sees us. What we say about ourselves is often contrary to what God says about us. Understanding the truth of how God feels about us and what He says about us will therefore radically alter our perspective. Tomorrow we'll find out how. So that'll be next week for us. But you know, it's kind of an interesting devotional. Let me see. That was based, it says Psalms 139, 13 through 24. And I think there's some merit there. I mean, you know, being 62, yes, 62, you know, I've had different stages of my life. And I know there was a time, you know, out when I lived in California where, you know, everybody had to have a Rolex and a BMW and, you know, this and that and all this kind of stuff. But, you know, no one was really going to church. No one was really very spiritual. And really for me, it wasn't until I came back to the Midwest that I, you know, started seeing some other values that had a big impact on my life and so forth. You know, I think that there's a lot there. I mean, you know, we all see people in traffic or, it's somebody driving the biggest pickup, or they've got the biggest tires, or it's the fanciest car, or they've got the best boat, or whatever. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, as far as if it's in perspective, but when that defines who they are, I think that is something to consider. I mean, because I really think, I mean, my wife and I talk about this a lot, which is, we're just kind of passing through. I mean, really, none of this is ours. I mean, it's God. Whatever's here is God's, and it comes back to the financial part of it. If all of a sudden you find yourself doing well, you need to probably follow the tithing strategy and, let God know that you realize that it's His, and you want to show Him that you're a good manager of those blessings, and a good steward, and so forth. So anyway, hopefully you like that part of the show. I know that we skip that from time to time, but I think that's an important part of the show. So we will continue on. If you ever have any constructive criticisms or questions, or just want to chit chat or whatever, you're always welcome to text us. I mean, Matt Pearson's probably the best person to text, or Jason, you're always welcome to text or call me at 417-755-0700, or you can reach me at tony@thegoldaffiliate.com. And so with that said, let's get back to Luke, and let's find out what Luke is looking forward to as far as his next semester. What classes are you taking?
I'm probably going to be taking debate and...
Debate?
Yeah, debate probably, and probably art.
Okay. Well, those sound like two exciting ones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He's had older brothers that were good in both. Jonah was really good at art, or still is, and he's doing some drafting and stuff for a few companies. And then Asa was pretty good in speech and debate. And so you can only imagine what it is around our dinner table with all these people, and the debating and conversations that get going and so forth. But
yeah, I'm just trying to test them out this year
that's fine.
to see if I like them.
Yeah. Well, that's 7th grade. It's not like you have to, decide on your career just yet,
Of course.
or even your major, or what school, your college you're going to, or what do you think about the University of Tulsa?
It's pretty good, except for the part where Asa lives there.
Well, what he's referring to is, I was telling the crew here in the studio when we first got in, Asa, for those of you that met him through this show over the last 3 months, he had quite a week last week, and part of it was on Thursday, just as he was getting ready to head to the University of Tulsa, he got a phone call from the housing department that his apartment had fleas, and there was a lot of them. So, he obviously wasn't going to move into that, and so he asked them to find an alternative apartment. Well, the first apartment was going to be on the 3rd floor with a nice view. The new apartment they finally found for him is on the ground floor, and it's kind of in a dark part of the apartment complex. And so when we got there Saturday, we found it, we got in, they had supposedly cleaned it, and first off, the AC wasn't on, and it was like 86 degrees inside the apartment, and then the refrigerator wasn't on, and there was a few other things and stuff, but he got it all sorted out. He's got AC now, he's got a refrigerator that works, he's starting to put some furniture in, so I think it'll be okay. And, his roommate will show up on Friday, and so they can work on some of the stuff together and everything. But when we first walked in, it was like, oh my goodness, that bedroom in Chesterfield Village looks pretty good. Anyway, so is there anything else you'd like to tell us about the University of Tulsa?
No, not really. I don't know enough information to say anything. If you really wanted to know stuff, you would either have to go there yourselves, or you would have to like call Asa
Call Asa.
and like blackmail him to tell you what Tulsa's about.
Call Asa. There you go. Well, we've had 3 sons go to college. One went to University of Missouri Science and Technology up in Rolla. You know, the old
MSU.
the old not MSU, the old UMR. And then one went to Drury, and now Ace is going to the University of Tulsa. So between the 3 schools, which one do you like the best?
Probably either Tulsa or UMR.
UMR, yeah. Yeah, that's a neat little campus over there in Rolla. Well kept up. I mean, gosh, they've got some brilliant faculty and some brilliant kids going to school there. And I remember when we went to Noah's graduation, what was that, May of 18? Let's see, May of 18 or May of 17.
It would seem like May of 17.
Yeah. I mean, the graduating class was just phenomenal. I mean, a lot of graduate programs and just, very, very, very impressive. And I think something like 99% of them had jobs, as they were walking off campus and stuff. I mean, the demand for folks with degrees from that school is just incredible. It's just really a neat little, almost a hidden jewel in Missouri. I mean, in fact, I think a lot of people in Missouri don't know about it, and it's people from around the world, because a lot of his graduating class were folks getting engineering degrees, and they were from all different kinds of countries. And so a neat experience and stuff. But speaking of neat, let's talk about gold and silver for a moment. Let me give you some pricing, because anymore, if you don't like the pricing, just hang around for a minute. It's going to change. On the crypto side of things, Bitcoin is now $11,869.95. And let's take a look at it here. For the day, it's up 0.04. For the week, it's up 2.79. For the month, it's up 30.45%. And now you can see why I started pouring a few dollars here and there into it back in, I think it was March or April, when it was down around 3,000. And then for the year, it's up 8.69. It's had a very volatile year. On I can't get this thing to, oh, there we go, 30. Somewhere around March 12th, it got down to $3,858 a coin. And right now it's at $11,867. So, just a quick reminder, when we talk about some of these different alternative ideas, I'm a big fan of gold and silver being, 10% of a person's portfolio. And, I usually say Bitcoin is more like a 1% allocation. And that'd be only for the ones that understand. I mean, if you put some money in Bitcoin, it ought to be dollars that if you lost it, it would not phase you financially, because it is a very volatile environment. And even though some folks have had a lot of success, and there's a lot of projections for even more success, it is it's one of those things. It's not for widows and orphans. So anyway, enough about that. Let's get into some gold and silver pricing. If my computer, there we go. Okay, so at 9:28 this morning, gold's off $15.30. It's at $1,986 an ounce. These first few are going to be precious metals, and the prices I'm giving you are by the ounce. Silver's down 2 cents. It's at $27.73. Platinum is down $12. It's at $950 an ounce. Palladium is down $41. It's at $2,199 an ounce. And rhodium is even for the day, and it's at $12,000 an ounce. And when you go into the base metals, now the base metals, these prices are by the pound. And whoa, copper's up. Copper's up to $3 and let's call it 2 cents. Nickel's up to $6.67. Aluminum's up to 79 cents a pound. Zinc is up to $1.13 a pound. Lead is 91 cents a pound. And Ace's favorite, uranium, is down $1.20. It's at $30.80 a pound. And so those were the base metals. Now, as far as crude oil goes, it's down a little 46 cents today, but it's at $42.43 a barrel. And so far today, the Dow Jones Industrial Average is up 111 points, 111.14, and that brings it to 27,889.21. So, you know, the volatility has not left us. If anything, it has made it more interesting. And as you've heard me say, if you are a constant viewer or someone who tunes in a lot, let's make volatility our friend. I mean, you know, it's one thing to have volatility, but there is a way to turn that into an advantage, and that's with dollar cost averaging. And with most of the things we talk about here, gold, silver, Bitcoin, copper, zinc, I mean, you know, all these different things that we talk about at some point in the show, you could have a dollar cost averaging strategy in place. And all that means, if you're not familiar with that term, is you have a systematic approach. You remove emotion from the whole process. And the best way to do it is, like, for example, let's say with silver. You know, we talk a lot about 7K Metals. They're one of our sponsors. And they have a coin a month club. So, you know, you could get your Silver Eagle each and every month, and no matter what silver's doing, you're getting a Silver Eagle coin. And, you know, we talk about don't make the $1.2 million mistake. And, you know, they have done a study. I have checked it out because I'm always skeptical when these people, you know, talk about some of these studies, especially when statistically they sound like they're very much in favor of their product. But I checked it out, and it's right on the numbers and stuff. But basically, Ronald Reagan back in 1986 created the Silver Eagle program. So all the U.S. mints started printing these, and they're really neat. If somebody had started buying a Silver Eagle, one a month, each month, up and through August 1st of this year, you'd have about 415 of them, give or take. And you would have probably spent about 43 grand. You know, because, I mean, think about that. That's from 1986 through October 1st of 2020. That total, as far as current market value, would be about 1.2 million. So if you're okay with investing 50 grand over all those years and now having a portfolio over 1.2 million, if you're like me, you're probably going to be, you know, thinking that's pretty good. I think it's really good, and I doubted it. I got into the internet and found some sources on pricing, and here was the amazing thing to me. One thing that was amazing is that not every year appreciates the same. There's different years that appreciate more so. For example, 1996, those coins issued in 96 are over 6 grand a piece. So think about it. If you'd gotten 12 Silver Eagles in 96, that'd be about 72 grand of your 1.2 million. And then the ones that are just mind-boggling are the 1999 ones. Those are over 19 grand a piece. If you had 12 of those, that'd be about $228,000 just from those 12 coins. You know, that makes up a big part of your 1.2 million. And then there's years where some of the coins are 150 bucks. So the point is you never know which year or which coins are going to be the ones that appreciate the most. So we come back to this dollar cost averaging systematic approach. Just boom, it's automatic. Comes to you in the mail. Actually, it's a little FedEx envelope. You put it in your safe, wherever you like to keep valuables, let the strategy work its magic, as compared to sitting back and, you know, trying to remember yourself and having the discipline to do it every month. And then, you know, maybe it's a little higher right now, so let's wait, hoping it goes down and it keeps going. I mean, trust me, fear and greed play a big part in how people make decisions on a lot of things, but mainly on investing. and that's wrong because years ago, I mean, this is going all the way back to 1987 or 88, somewhere back there. I was at a huge financial conference in Denver. And this may be way back before anybody's time as far as this gentleman, but Peter Lynch was the keynote speaker. Now, Mr. Lynch used to be the portfolio manager for a fund that was called the Fidelity Magellan Fund. And for a long stretch, we're talking a couple years, he had the #1 performing fund of all of them. And he was up making his presentation, very intelligent gentleman, and he made the comment that something like 85% of the shareholders in the Fidelity Magellan Fund lost money. And there was like 1,000 people in this ballroom, plus it was televised and all this kind of stuff, and we're all like, what? 85% lost money? How does that, what's going on? And he goes, it's easy to explain. He goes, Money Magazine or Smart Money or any of these publications that, Barron's or Forbes or whoever it is, they come out with an article on, in this case, the Fidelity Magellan Fund or mutual funds in general. They talk about Fidelity's the one fund you need to own, or it's time to get in, or, they #1 for the year. And so everybody starts flooding in. Well, what are they doing? They're buying high. It just had a nice year. They're buying at the top, and so there's the greed factor. And then, as things happen with these funds and markets and so forth, it kind of probably starts to have a part of the season where it's out of favor. It comes down a little bit. People are like, okay, should I buy more? Should I hang on? And usually somewhere down around here, you can't see it because of the chair, here, they can't take it anymore. And they pull the trigger. They're 10,000s now, 5,000 or, whatever the amount would be, and they sell low. And that's exactly the opposite. You want to buy low and sell high. So we try to remove the emotions from the whole equation, and the best way to do that is with a systematic approach. I did bring one thing today that I kind of wanted to remind people of is, with 7K or anybody that you want to do these with. Now, this isn't a Silver Eagle. This is my most recent Gold Eagle, and this is a $5 gold coin. And what this is, I know it's hard to see from where you're at. I guess I could have Matt enlarge it, but he's left the room, and it's not that big a deal. I mean, you can kind of see from the case. But this is 1/10 of an ounce of gold. So if gold is going for, what did I say a minute ago, $1,985.20, this coin is worth, let's call it spot rise, there's no premium involved here, $198. It's 1/10 of an ounce. But I love these because they're kind of about the size of a dime. And, it's pure 0.9999% gold, and it's part of that Gold Eagle program. They've got them in $5 amounts, $10 amounts. They've got the 1 ounce Gold Eagle, and, those two you can buy through 7K. Usually 7K does have the better pricing I've found. And but you're welcome to try anybody out there. There's a plethora of companies on the internet that are selling gold and silver and stuff like that. But I got this. This was one of my first gold coins back probably around September of last year, and I've held on to it. And I will tell you that I didn't buy it for anywhere near $198.50. I mean, it was just one of those things by using my systematic approach. I got it. I put it away. And for some reason this morning, I knew I wanted to have something to talk about, so I pulled this one out just because, here's one way you can buy gold. You can buy gold in bars, bullion. You can buy it in coins like this, numismatics. You can buy it in, I don't want to say historical, but in pre-1933 versions. And those have some neat little features and benefits that we've talked about before in the show. So there is a variety of strategies out there, depending on what you're trying to accomplish. Whether you're trying to hedge yourself against a government that makes bad decisions, or you're wanting to accumulate wealth, or you're wanting to preserve wealth, or you're wanting to, have a collection. I mean, there's just a lot of things that go in, and depending on what kind of a investor person you are, you may, lean towards one of those, and we can help with all that kind of stuff. Anyway, rather than me ramble on, what's on the agenda for this weekend, Mr. Luke?
Doing work.
we you can tell that wasn't rehearsed or anything. It's funny around our it's funny around our house. We've got some movies that we love, and at Christmas there's one Elf that we call it, or that's the name of it. It's Elf, and it's one of our 10 or 12 Christmas movies that we like to watch. And there's just little things in the movie that are hilarious.
Make work your favorite.
There's one part where what's his name, who's playing Elf? He's talking to the boss.
Will Ferrell.
Will Ferrell, thank you. He's talking to the boss about something and wanting to do something, and the boss is like, "Make work your favorite." And so that's obviously something we say around our house a lot. We had one time many years ago where one boy said they were bored. Does anybody ever say that anymore?
No.
Nobody's bored in our house, because if they are, trust me, we will find something for them to do. And I don't think anybody after that first time has ever said they were bored again. So anyway. So let's see what else we can talk about. I mean, I got to tell you, there is so much going on in the news right now. And I wish we had the ability to show the screen and stuff on a few of these things. But, for example, when I look at Kitco News, for example, most of these folks are thinking that gold will go past 2,000. Here's Robert Kiyosaki on why the U.S. may no longer be a free country. Very interesting interview. You can pick it up on YouTube. It's Robert Kiyosaki being interviewed on Kitco News. And he brings up some interesting points about some of our freedoms. And, there's just a lot going on with the U.S. dollar. The U.S. dollar has come down quite a bit in the last 6 months. And the reason why that's important is ever since the 1944, we've been the reserve currency for the world. And so what that means is anytime some country is doing a big transaction, they usually settle things in U.S. dollars. Well, one of the things that's happened is since the first of the year, Russia and China, have been trying to avoid U.S. dollars. So they've been settling things between the two of them in their own currencies and bypassing the U.S. dollar for settlement, which means the demand for dollars in those areas is down something like 36%. And, we got to be cognizant of that. We got to be aware of that. We got to be prepared, because I got to tell you, if the demand for U.S. dollars for settlement on a worldwide basis goes much lower, there's always the chance we could lose our reserve status. And if that happens, they're not going to be able to float $26.6 trillion of debt any longer. They're not going to be able to do some of these stimulus programs we have going on, even after 2008 with the financial crisis, or here of late because of COVID-19. I mean, the reason that the Fed and the Treasury Department are able to do these kinds of magical things, print money out of thin air, is because they have that reserve status. So there's just a lot going on there. Now, I did see the golden microphone surface in the background. Jason.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right. My question was, how can a person tell by looking at the news and the events in the news what effect that's going to have on their stock and what they should do about it when they hear something that affects their stock?
Well, I mean, anymore, there's so many talking heads. I mean, they can tune into CNBC, they can read the Wall Street Journal, they can read Investors Daily. I mean, there really is a plethora of it. If anything, there's too much information out there. And, if somebody is bold enough to where they have an individual stock, unless they know what they're doing, they probably should get out. Because I got to tell you, the stock market is a unpredictable, crazy place. And here's why. So many of the decisions are based on information. And whoever gets the information first is going to have an advantage. Could we all agree on that? I mean, and I mean, there's rules against insider trading. I mean, it's against the law, and there's people that have gone to jail. I mean, Martha Stewart, for heaven's sakes, a couple years back, had to serve a little time in jail for what was perceived to be insider trading. So they don't look fondly on doing it at that level. But if you're a big institution and you have research analysts that do this for a living and they're making, high six figures or maybe even seven figures, and, their job is to follow XYZ company, we'll just say it like that, do you think that they're able to see information before you and I get it through one of these media services? I would say yes. I mean, it's just a matter of seconds sometimes, but I just think that, to play stocks, you got to be either know what you're doing or be just so cautious and stuff. And so to answer your question long-winded, yeah, I mean, there's a whole bunch of places. Now, to know how some of these things affect them, I mean, some of that's experience, some of that's just further research and doing their due diligence. I mean, that's why I say if a person doesn't know what they're doing, they probably, just because you hear about it at the water cooler doesn't mean that that's probably, a good choice for every portfolio. So I don't know if that answers your question or not, but, there's been a lot of people that have lost a lot of money because, Jim Bob in shipping had made a bunch of money on something, and, they went and found it and bought some on their own, not even doing any research or due diligence or vetting it in any way, shape, form, or fashion. And, especially with stocks. Stocks are really driven by earnings. And so many times over the years, I started my financial career out in Silicon Valley, which, was back in 1983. And there's companies out there. I mean, they're real exciting. They got potential and, all this kind of stuff. And then they're going to have an IPO. And then you realize, kind of like on Shark Tank sometimes, they don't have any sales. It's a neat idea, and there's a scientist, and there's a lab, and they got this, and it looks great, but there's a lot of blue sky.
And so that's when you say I'm out.
And then for those reasons, I'm out. Yes, sir.
Unless you're Mark Cuban, of course.
Mark Cuban. Yeah, but so, I mean, it's one of those things that before somebody puts their money at risk, they need to find out, some things that are essential. There's fundamental research which would be based on just that company. Now, if, somebody's really serious about it, wanting to do it, I mean, you can go to the library, or you can go online to the library and go under their research tools. And you can find a lot of research tools in the Springfield Public Library to help you research. I mean, let's use XYZ. Obviously, that's a fictitious name of a company. But let's just say at the water cooler today, you heard somebody had, got XYZ and they were real excited. Well, you know what? Tonight, you could go online to the Springfield Library. You could go to the research area. You could go to Morningstar. You could go to Value Line. You can go to a few. And, read up on them. See if it's something you're comfortable with. So there's just a lot of ways you can do that. I don't know if I would rely too much on the talking heads on TV, because usually they have some kind of an agenda. And with that said, I'll get off my little soapbox. I don't know why you had to ask that question, Jason. It just really got me going.
It seems like a lot of times I'm seeing that the information that's being put out on the media sources are all just manipulation and they depend on the actual trade based on the information rather than the production of the company.
Well, and to take that a step further, as concise as I can say it, when I got in the securities industry back in 1983, the firm I started with was big on IPOs, and I'll just leave them unnamed for the moment, but what I learned real quick was the research department would come out with a report on why they wanted the retail staff to sell XYZ stock to all their clients. And then after a while, I realized it was because they had a huge position on the institutional side. And so it wasn't so much that, it was going to make a bunch of money for the retail side. It was pretty much they'd already made the money on the institutional side, and they wanted to get rid of the inventory. And that's a whole can of worms for probably another show. So we'll kind of leave it at that. But with that said, I mean, if you've ever got questions, you're welcome to call me, 417-755-0700. If you're interested in 7K metals, I have a new website I can give you. That website would be 7kmetals.com/Paul Collins, Collins. You can go.
Tell us some of the stuff that's in this website.
Well, the website's got all kinds of information on gold and silver, and it also has some videos on why it makes sense, and then it has some ways to actually start an account and get the dealer direct pricing and things like that. But we'll cover that next week, and I want to thank Mr. Luke for being my guest today. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And he took time off of his busy schedule. He makes work his favorite. He was very busy yesterday doing a lot of yard work for us, so we're very grateful.
I was told that if I came here and did this with you, I would get paid a fine fee of $100.
And so we also have some creative thinking going on here,
I'm just joking.
but we love it. We love it. Hey, before we go, real quick, thanks to Axe Ministry and Axe Media for letting us have a show weekly. Thanks to Jim and Pam Whining for all they do, and of course Dr. Paul Collins. So anyway, I'm sure those 2 minutes are up. We're going to say goodbye. You folks have a safe and comfortable week out there. Wear your masks and be well. We'll talk to you next week. Thanks so much.
Goodbye.